series Evil Lynx 2, The Haunted Investigation, Ep.3, Terrifying Livestream, The Dark Alley, and the Strange, Green-Eyed Creature. The night engulfed the city, and every light seemed faint, leaving only a few dim street lamps lighting the way. Nick and Nancy decided to begin their field investigation in one of the alleys, rumored to be where the cat-faced woman had once appeared. The cool night air heightened their tension, yet it also stirred their curiosity, especially for Nick, who always sought out supernatural phenomena to attract viewers on his live stream. "Are you ready?" Nick asked, trying to keep his voice calm, though his heart was pounding with anticipation. Nancy nodded, gripping the camera tightly, both anxious and excited. They ventured deeper into the dark alley, their flashlight illuminating the damp, cracked walls. Everything around them was eerily silent, with only the sound of their footsteps echoing in the stillness. "Nick, something's not right here," Nancy whispered, her hands constantly moving the camera from side to side. Suddenly, a faint noise emerged from the deep shadows, like the whisper of wind or the soft scratch of something against the old wall. Nick raised his phone, starting the live stream, hoping to capture the attention of his viewers. "Hey, everyone, we're here, right at the scene of those mysterious disappearances. My girlfriend and I are going to investigate and see what's really going on." As soon as Nick finished speaking, a loud noise echoed from afar, like heavy footsteps slowly approaching. Nancy jolted, turning the camera quickly as her flashlight illuminated the dark void ahead, but nothing was visible. "Nick, did you hear that?" Nick swallowed, trying to stay calm. "It's probably just rats. Don't worry." But they both knew those footsteps weren't from a rat. The sound grew clearer, as if something was approaching, slowly but surely. Nancy's flashlight began to flicker, and then went out, plunging the alley into total darkness. "Damn it, the flashlight's dead," Nancy whispered, her breath quickening. Nick tried to maintain professionalism, but fear crept into his voice. "Stay calm. It's just a minor malfunction." At that moment, a faint shadow darted across the entrance out of the alley, so fast it was barely noticeable. Nancy clutched Nick's hand, too frightened to speak. They both stood frozen, hearts racing in their chests. Neither dared to move, only the darkness surrounding them, and the terrifying realization that they weren't alone, gripped their hearts. Then from the darkness, a soft laugh echoed. It was gentle, like a woman's laugh, but it carried a chilling, eerie undertone. "Nick, did you hear that?" Nancy whispered, her voice trembling. Nick tried to shine his phone's light ahead, but all they could see was endless darkness. The laugh echoed again, closer this time, as if it was encircling them. The phone's flashlight dimmed, barely illuminating a small space in front of them. Nick and Nancy could both feel their hearts pounding wildly, cold sweat dripping down their spines. The air around them seemed to thicken, oppressive, and filled with an unseen threat. Suddenly, at the far end of the alley, they saw a vague silhouette. It looked like a large animal with sleek black fur and glowing green eyes, passing by in the blink of an eye. Those eyes were not human. They held a malicious, cold gaze that seemed to mock and challenge them. The creature's growling footsteps, accompanied by heavy breathing, grew closer, paralyzing Nick and Nancy with fear. What is that?" Nancy stammered, her eyes wide with terror. "Run! Run now!" Nick shouted, panic rising as he caught sight of the creature's piercing green eyes. They immediately turned and sprinted toward the alley's entrance, their palms cold with fear. The growling breaths grew louder, as if the beast was right on their heels. Their footsteps echoed in the silent space, but the sound of the strange creature's pursuit grew closer, intensifying their fear. Nick clutched his phone tightly, but the flashlight wasn't strong enough to clearly light their way. They just kept running forward, without time to think, only knowing they had to escape the alley before something terrible happened. The faint sound of the mysterious woman's laughter still echoed somewhere in the darkness, adding to the sense that they were being hunted by a living nightmare. Finally, the dim glow of the streetlights appeared ahead. Nick and Nancy burst out of the alley, gasping for breath, both drenched in cold sweat from terror. They looked at each other, eyes wide, trying to control their frantic breathing. "What the hell just happened?" Nick croaked, his voice hoarse from fear. Nancy couldn't answer, standing still with the overwhelming feeling that they had just escaped something not of this world. Even though they had left the alley, the chill and the creature's green eyes still haunted their minds, as if serving as a terrifying warning. The next morning, at the police station, Detective Ash stared at the computer screen in front of him, where his colleague was trying to extract video footage from the security cameras in the alley where the disappearance occurred. However, the footage was too blurry and dark to make out anything suspicious. Ash frowned, realizing that the investigation would be difficult if they relied solely on these useless videos. "Nothing but darkness," his colleague sighed. "There aren't any lights in that alley, so we can't see a thing." Ash sighed, but didn't give up. "Try pulling footage from the cameras in the surrounding areas. There might be something or someone entering or leaving the alley that we missed." The colleague nodded and continued working on the computer to search for more clues. Ash leaned back in his chair, quickly thinking about the next steps. He picked up his phone and scrolled through his contacts, stopping at a familiar name. Alyssa, reporter, and also his ex-girlfriend. Ash decided to call Alyssa. As the phone rang, he wondered whether the conversation would go smoothly, as they hadn't been in touch much since they broke up. Finally, the phone was answered. "Hello, Detective Ash. It's been a while since I last got a call from you. What's up? Need a favor?" Alyssa's voice carried that familiar teasing tone that made Ash smile faintly. "Yeah, something like that," Ash replied, trying to stay composed. "I'm investigating the disappearance of those kids in the dark alleys. You're following this case, right? Have you spoken to Camilla, the mother of one of the missing kids?" Alyssa paused, as if thinking about something. "That's right. I just interviewed her. But let me guess. Are you calling because you're curious, or because you want more info?" "Both," Ash responded, his voice lowering. "Did she say anything about the disappearance? Or anything strange happening?" Alyssa chuckled softly, a hint of mockery in her voice. "Aren't you supposed to be the cop here? Asking me those questions makes it seem like I'm doing your job. But fine, I'll tell you. Camilla wants to find a medium for help. She believes there's some spiritual, supernatural involvement." "You said a medium," Ash frowned. "Do you think that's going to help?" "Ash, not everyone believes in logic and science like you do," Alyssa replied, her tone full of implication. "There are things in this world that a cop like you can't explain."